Hello everyone. Apologies. I had a bit of a tech problem again. Welcome to Readings in Isolation. My name is Saman Giraud and I'll be your host this evening. As usual, I will pick up where Joanna left off. It was the 13th night and so far we heard the story of the first calendar and of the second one. Now the second one is the one who also used to be a prince and who after many adventures and many mishaps was turned by an Ifrit into a baboon. And we are continuing to tell his tale. Let me just get comfortable. All right. Now when it was the 14th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the calendar continued his tale thus. O my lady, the king's daughter, hand in hand, a knife, whereon were inscribed Hebrew characters, and described a wide circle in the midst of the palace hall. And therein wrote in Cufic letters mysterious names and talismans. And she uttered words and muttered charms, some of which she understood, and others we understood not. Presently the world waxed dark before our sight, till we thought that the sky was falling upon our heads. And lo, the Ifrit presented himself in his own shape and aspect. His hands were like many-pronged pitchforks, his legs like the masts of great ships, and his eyes like cressets of gleaming fire. We were in terrible fear of him. But the king's daughter cried at him, 'No welcome to thee, and no greeting, O dog.' Whereupon he changed to the form of a lion and said, 'O traitress, how is it thou hast broken the oath we sware that neither should contraire other?' 'O accursed one,' answered she, 'how could there be a compact between me and the like of thee?' Then said he, 'Take what thou hast brought on thyself.' And the lion opened his jaws and rushed upon her, but she was too quick for him, and plucking a hair from her head, waved it in the air, muttering over it the while. And the hair straightway became a trenchant sword blade, wherewith she smote the lion and cut him in twain. Then the two halves flew away in air, and the head changed to a scorpion, and the princess became a huge serpent, and set upon the accursed scorpion. And the two fought, coiling and uncoiling, a stiff fight for an hour at least. Then the scorpion changed to a vulture, and the serpent became an eagle, which set upon the vulture and hunted him for an hour's time, till he became a black tomcat, which meowed and grinned and spat. Thereupon the eagle changed into a piebald wolf, and these two battled in the palace for a long time, when the cat, seeing himself overcome, changed into a worm, and crept into a huge red pomegranate, which lay beside a jetting fountain in the midst of the palace hall. Whereupon the pomegranate swelled to the size of a watermelon in air, and falling upon the marble pavement of the palace, broke to pieces, and all the grains fell out and were scattered about till they covered the whole floor. Then the wolf shook himself and became a snow-white calf, which fell to picking up the grains, purposing not to leave one. But by doom of destiny, one seed rolled to the fountain edge, and there lay hid. The cock fell to crowing and clapping his wings and signing to us with his beak as if to ask, "Are any grains left?" But we understood not what he meant, and he cried to us with so loud a cry that we thought the palace would fall upon us. Then he ran over all the floor till he saw the grain which had rolled to the fountain edge, and rushed eagerly to pick it up, when behold, it sprang into the midst of the water and became a fish, and dived to the bottom of the basin. Thereupon the cock changed to a big fish and plunged in after the other, and the two disappeared for a while. And lo, we heard loud shrieks and cries, which made us tremble. After this, the Ifrit rose out of the water, and he was as a burning flame, casting fire and smoke from his mouth and eyes and nostrils. And immediately the princess likewise came forth from the basin, and she was one live coal of flaming low. And these two, she and he, battled for the space of an hour, until their fires entirely compassed them about, and their thick smoke filled the palace. As for us, we panted for breath, being well nigh suffocated, and we longed to plunge into the water, fearing lest we be burned up and utterly destroyed. And the king said, "There is no majesty and there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. Verily, we are Allah's, and unto him are we returning. Would heaven I had not urged my daughter to attempt the disenchantment of this ape fellow, whereby I have imposed upon her the terrible task of fighting yon accursed Ifrit, against whom all the Ifrits in the world could not prevail. And would heaven we had never seen this ape, Allah never assay nor bless the day of his coming. We thought to do a good deed by him before the face of Allah, and to release him from enchantment, and now we have brought this trouble and travail upon our heart. But I, O my lady, was tongue-tied and powerless. Suddenly, ere we were aware of aught, the Ifrit yelled out from under the flames, and coming up to us as we stood on the estrade, blew fire in our faces. The damsel overtook him and breathed blasts of fire at his face, and the sparks from her and from him rained down upon us. And her sparks did us no harm, but one of his sparks alighted upon my eye and destroyed it, making me a monocular ape. And another fell on the king's face, scorching the lower half, burning off his beard and mustachios, and causing his underteeth to fall out, while a third alighted on the castrato's breast, killing him on the spot. So we despaired of life and made sure of death, when lo, a voice repeated the saying, Allah is most highest, Allah is most highest. Aidance and victory to all who the truth believe, and disappointment and disgrace to all who the religion of Muhammad, the moon of faith, unbelieve. The speaker was the princess who had burnt the Ifrit, and he was become a heap of ashes. Then she came up to us and said, "Reach me a cup of water." They brought it to her, and she spoke over it words we understood not, and sprinkling me with it, cried, "By virtue of the truth, and by the most great name of Allah, I charge thee, return to thy former shape." And behold, I shook, and became a man as before, save that I had utterly lost an eye. Then she cried out, the fire, O my dear papa, an arrow from the accursed hath wounded me to the death, for I am not used to fight with the Jann. Had he been a man, I had slain him in the beginning. I had no trouble till the time when the pomegranate burst and the grain scattered, but I overlooked the seed wherein was the very life of the Jinni. Had I picked it up, he had died on the spot. But as fate and fortune decreed, I saw it not. So he came upon me all unawares, and there befell between him and me a sore struggle under the earth and high in air and in the water. And as often as I opened on him a gate, he opened on me another gate and a stronger, till at last he opened on me the gate of fire, and few are saved upon whom the door of fire openeth. But destiny willed that my cunning prevail over his cunning, and I burned him to death after I vainly exhorted him to embrace the religion of Al-Islam. As for me, I am a dead woman. Allah supply my place to you. Then she called upon heaven for help, and ceased not to implore relief from the fire, when lo, a black spark shot up from her, roped feet to her thighs, then it flew to her bosom, and thence to her face. When it reached her face, she wept and said, I testify that there is no God but thee, God, and that Muhammad is the apostle of God. And we looked at her, and saw naught but a heap of ashes by the side of the heap that had been the Ifrit. We mourned for her, and I wished I had been in her place, so had I not seen her lovely face, who had worked me such weal, become ashes. But there is no gainsaying the will of Allah. When the king saw his daughter's terrible death, he plucked out what was left of his beard, and beat his face and rent his raiment. And I did as he did, and we both wept over her. Then came in the chamberlain and grandees, and were amazed to find 2 heaps of ashes, and the sultan in a fainting fit. So they stood round him till he revived, and told them what had befallen his daughter from the Ifrit, whereat their grief was right grievous, and the women and the slave girls shrieked and keened, and they continued their lamentations for the space of 7 days. Moreover, the king bade build over his daughter's ashes a vast vaulted tomb, and burn therein wax tapers and sepulchral lamps. But as for the Ifrit's ashes, they scattered them on the winds, speeding them to the curse of Allah. Then the sultan fell sick of a sickness that well nigh brought him to his death for a month's space. And when health returned to him, and his beard grew again, and he had been converted by the mercy of Allah to Al-Islam, he sent for me and said, O youth, fate had decreed for us the happiest of lives, safe from all the chances and changes of time, till thou camest to us, when troubles fell upon us. Would to heaven we had never seen thee, and the foul face of thee, for we took pity on thee, and thereby we have lost our all. I have on thy account first lost my daughter, who to me was well worth 100 men. Secondly, I have suffered that which befell me by reason of the fire and the loss of my teeth, and my eunuch also was slain. I blame thee not, for it was out of thy power to prevent this. The doom of Allah was on thee, and as well on us. And thanks be to the Almighty, for that my daughter delivered thee, albeit thereby she lost her own life. Go forth now, O my son, from this my city, and suffice thee what hath befallen us through thee, even although 'twas decreed for us. Go forth in peace, and if I ever see thee again, I will surely slay thee. And he cried out at me. So I went forth from his presence, O my lady, weeping bitterly and hardly, believing in my escape and knowing not whither I should wend. And I recalled all that had befallen me, my meeting the tailor, my love for the damsel in the palace beneath the earth, and my narrow escape from the Ifrit even after he had determined to do me die, and how I had entered the city as an ape and was now leaving it a man once more. Then I gave thanks to Allah and said, my eye and not my life. And before leaving the place, I entered the bath and shaved my poll and beard and moustachios and eyebrows, and cast ashes on my head and donned the coarse black woolen robe of a calender. Then I fared forth, O my lady, and every day I pondered all the calamities which had betided me, and I wept and repeated these couplets. I am distraught, yet verily his ruth abides with me, though round me gather hosts of ills, whence come I cannot see. Patient I'll be, till patience self with me impatient wax, patient forever till the Lord fulfill my destiny. Patient I'll bide without complaint, or wronged and vanquished man, patient as some parched wade that spans the desert's sandy sea. Patient I'll be till aloe self unwittingly allow. I'm patient on the bitterer things than bitterest aloe. No bitterer things than aloes, or than patience for mankind, yet bitterer than the twain to me were patience, treachery. My sear and seamed and seared brow would dragoman my sore, if soul could search my sprite, and there on secret secrecy were hills to bear the load I bear that crumble neath the weight. 'Twould still the roaring wind, 'twould quench the flame tongue's flagrancy. And who saith the world is sweet, certes a day he'll see, with more than aloe's bitterness and aloe's pungency. Then I journeyed through many regions and saw many a city, intending for Baghdad, that I might seek audience in the house of peace with the commander of the faithful, and tell him all that had befallen me. I arrived here this very night, and found my brother in Allah, this first calender, standing about as one perplexed. So I saluted him with, peace be upon thee, and entered into discourse with him. Presently up came our brother, this third calender, and said to us, peace be with you, I am a stranger. Whereto we replied, and we too be strangers, who have come hither this blessed night. So we all three walked on together, none of us knowing the other's history, till destiny drave us to this door, and we came in to you. Such then is my story, and my reason for shaving my beard and moustachios, and this is what caused the loss of my eye. Said the house mistress, thy tale is indeed a rare, so rub thy head and wend thy way. But he replied, I will not budge till I hear my companion's stories. Then came forward the third calender and said, O illustrious lady, my history is not like that of these my comrades, but more wondrous and far more marvellous. In their case, fate and fortune came down on them unawares, but I drew down destiny upon my own head and brought sorrow on my own soul, and shaved my own beard and lost my own eye. Hear then the third calendar's tale. Know, O my lady, that I also am a king, and the son of a king, and my name is Ajib, son of Khazib. When my father died, I succeeded him, and I ruled and did justice and dealt fairly by all my lieges. I delighted in sea trips, for my capital stood on the shore before which the ocean stretched far and wide, and near hand were many great islands, with sconces and garrisons in the midst of the main. My fleet numbered 50 merchantmen, and as many yachts for pleasance, and 150 sail ready fitted for war with the unbelievers. It fortuned that I had a mind to enjoy myself on the islands aforesaid, so I took ship with my people in 10 keel, and carrying with me a month's victual, I set out on a 20 days' voyage. But one night a headwind struck us, and the sea rose against us with huge waves. The billows sorely buffeted us, and a dense darkness settled round us. We gave ourselves up for lost, and I said, Whoso endangereth his days, and he escape, deserveth no praise. Then we prayed to Allah and besought him, but the storm blast ceased not to blow against us, nor the surges to strike us, till morning broke, when the gale fell. The sea sank to mirror stillness, and the sun shone upon us kindly clear. Presently we made an island where we landed, and cooked somewhat of food, and ate heartily, and took our rest for a couple of days. Then we set out again, and sailed other 20 days, the seas broadening and the land shrinking. Presently the current ran counter to us, and we found ourselves in strange waters, where the captain had lost his reckoning, and was wholly bewildered in this sea. So said we to the lookout man, Get thee to the masthead, and keep thine eyes open. He swarmed up to the mast, and looked out, and cried aloud, O Reis, I espy to starboard something dark, very like a fish floating on the face of the sea, and to larboard there is a loom in the midst of the main, now black and now bright. When the captain heard the lookout's word, he dashed his turban to the deck, and plucked out his beard, and beat his face, saying, Good news indeed, we be all dead men, not one of us can be saved. And he fell to weeping, and all of us wept for his weeping, and also for our lives. And I said, O captain, tell us, what is it the lookout saw? O my prince, answered he, know that we lost our course on the night of the storm, which was followed on the morrow by a 2 days' calm, during which we made no way, and we have gone astray 11 days, reckoning from that night, with never a wind to bring us back to our true course. Tomorrow, by the end of the day, we shall come to a mountain of black stone, hight the Magnet Mountain, for thither the currents carry us willy-nilly. As soon as we are under its lee, the ship's sides will open, and every nail in plank will fly out and cleave fast to the mountain, for that Almighty Allah hath gifted the lodestone with a mysterious virtue and a love for iron, by reason whereof all which is iron travelleth towards it, And on this mountain is much iron, how much none knoweth, save the Most High, from the many vessels which have been lost there since the days of yore. The bright spot upon its summit is a dome of yellow laton from Andalusia, vaulted upon 10 columns, and on its crown is a horseman who rideth a horse of brass, and holdeth in hand a lance of laton, and there hangeth on his bosom a tablet of lead, graven with names and talismans. And he presently added, And O King, none destroyeth folk, save the rider on that steed, nor will the agromancy be dispelled till he fall from his horse. Then, O my lady, the captain wept with exceeding weeping, and we all made sure of death doom, and each and every one of us farewelled his friend, and charged him with his last will and testament, in case he might be saved. We slept not that night, and in the morning we found ourselves much nearer the Lodestone Mountain, whither the waters drave us with a violent scent. When the ships were close under its lee, they opened, and the nails flew out, and all the iron in them sought to the magnet mountain and clove to it like a network, so that by the end of the day we were all struggling in the waves round about the mountain. Some of us were saved, but more were drowned, and even those who had escaped knew not one another, so stupefied were they by the beating of the billows and the raving of the wind. As for me, O my lady, Allah preserved my life, that I might suffer whatso He will to me of hardship, misfortune, and calamity. For I scrambled upon a plank from one of the ships, and the wind and waters threw it at the feet of the mountain. There I found a practicable path, leading by steps carven out of the rock to the summit, and I called on the name of Allah Almighty. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Thank you very much, all of you. I hope you had a lovely time, and I hope you're going to have a good night, going inwards instead of outwards as usual. And I'll see you soon. Please join us tomorrow. Joanna will be continuing the 15th night. Have a good night.